Okay, so we open up with the deep-throated baby again. And the baby deep-throats the camera. Classy. So BB means bridge baby, we learn later in the trailer. So he's got some blood on his face. Apparently, something wrong is going on. And we're going to see a clip of him later on in the trailer. And it seems like it's around the same time, maybe even before this particular scene. I believe that this is Mads Mikkelsen's character before he becomes whatever he is in the other scenes that we see. So I'm sure that here he's human in this one, but the blood would indicate that something wrong is going on and that the baby would have something to worry about, which is why he's saying, "Don't worry, I'll always be with you." I looked up the lyrics for this song and I can't find it. So maybe this is a new song or something they made up just for him to sing. So we take a closer look at the picture that we've seen in the previous trailers. Although this one actually is different. It's very interesting. It's a more updated picture, I guess. I don't know. Or maybe this fits into the story somehow. But you'll notice that Sam's hair in this one is not pulled back like in the original photo. Also, the middle woman looks different. In the other one, she had like a full smile, and she might have had glasses then or not. Probably not, I think. I think the glasses are new for this one. But it seems their outfits stay about the same, especially the pregnant wife's outfit. All right, so there's a lot of information on this bike. At first, we see on the wheel it says high voltage, so there's a lot of electricity pulsing through there. That must be what's lighting up the light on the wheel. And my guess is the lights on the wheel will indicate the damage taken on the bike, just like the handcuffs that have lights, and that will actually be in-game UI. We have seen from later on in the trailer that we will see. Notice it says endurance on a little bit to the right of the wheel itself. It says endurance with a 3 instead of an E. Very edgy, Kojima. Also, you'll notice that the bike has been apparently patched up a little bit. It's got some electric tape wrapped around above where it says endurance. Kind of sloppily, too. Like, there's a bit just hanging out there for extra effect, I guess. They're saying together you can help us reconnect. That's going to be important. That's going to be brought up many times throughout this trailer. There's a heavy theme of reconnecting, connecting with, well, we're going to find out. So there's other interesting stuff here. So some other symbology besides the endurance. There is a spade with a number 1 in the middle. And you'll notice on the bottom is a triangle. You'll see that there it says Raven with a 3 instead of an E. Again, edgy. And also the symbol is 3 triangular shapes, which are ravens, probably, within a circle. So there is definitely some 3 symbology thrown around here. You've got a 3 on endurance. You got a 3 in Raven. You've got, the triangles have 3 sides. And then there's 372C, which apparently is a reference to Plato's Republic. That actually indicates a part of the book where Plato is talking about the city of pigs. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in depth in another video, but I just want you to keep that in mind. 372C is likely a reference to Plato. And we know that Kojima loves to reference all kinds of different things. He's actually been criticized in some certain YouTube videos that he's not very original, that he just references everything, like all his content, all his ideas are basically just taken from movies or whatever. But I don't really look at it like that. I mean, everybody borrows a little bit from something else or influenced by something else. So this is interesting. Also, you'll notice that the stripe is actually 3 stripes. So 3 has some significance here because we have it in at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different places, with endurance, the spade, raven, the symbol of the ravens, the 3 and 372C. C is actually the 3rd letter of the alphabet, so if you really want to go that deep. And then the stripes. So maybe even 7 different 3s. And even the spade itself is kind of reminiscent of a triangle in a way. It also says, and you probably can't see it here because while I did download the 4K video, it's going to have some loss of quality. But on the bike as well, it also says somewhere Eco V. Maybe it's further on in the back. I'm not sure where it is, where I spotted it, but if you watch the video in 4K, for sure you can spot it. And I believe that might be the name of the bike, or maybe the name of the engine would be the Eco V. So we look at his gear, and we get a pretty good look here at what he's carrying. So you've got an extra pair of boots, as we've seen in other trailers. You know, Sam gets injured, his feet get injured, so that could definitely be a part of the gameplay where you have to heal yourself, and apparently the terrain is very rocky and mountainous, so it's very treacherous, so a lot of things can happen where you might get injured, and also enemies and things like that. So it's interesting that that aspect is put into play. So you have that, you've got like a rucksack, like a camping rucksack, and you've got a bunch of boxes. He has an interesting device on the left side of his torso. It's a rectangular-ish black device. Maybe that's used in conjunction with the BB, the baby jars, the baby pods, or whatever you want to call it. They call it BB, bridge baby, right? And then of course he's got a box on his back, and we'll see throughout the trailer all the different assortments of backpacks and boxes that Sam carries. It's pretty interesting. Making America whole again, and so that ends up as Sam's mission, we'll see. So here we're in the Oval Office. The flags there confirm it. The one on the right is the Oval Office flag, and that's how they're usually arranged. You know, obviously made to look like the Oval Office, except we've got the president on life support. And, oh geez, I just noticed this, but there's tons of cables running from her bed up to the ceiling. So that's going to be interesting. That's going to be something that we need to talk about. So is that helping keep her alive? We see one cord on the left that kind of looks like it could be connected to Sam. I'm not sure. Notice on the floor, the carpet reads Bridges. It does not read United States of America. So maybe Bridges is what's left of the United States of America? So we see here that other animal life is also affected. Plants are affected with the time fall. So this woman looks like she might have cancer. She's wearing a head wrap, and I don't see any indication of hair other than her eyebrows and eyelashes. So it's possible that she's contracted some sort of cancer, or maybe she has Dooms. Maybe Dooms has similar symptoms to cancer. We know Kojima loves snazzy eyewear, and this is no exception. This is a really cool pair of sunglasses right there. So he calls her Bridget, which is something to remember, because the actress who plays the president also plays the younger version that we've seen in other trailers. So I have some thoughts about that. He says, you're the president of jack shit, so what is she then? You know, what resources does Bridges have? Like, how in bad shape, how much of, words. How bad of a shape is America in right now? And here we are, in a badass Bridges compound. I guess this might be your home base. Maybe it will be upgradable, like Mother Base in Metal Gear Solid 5. Will you get attacked at some point while here? Will you have to manage attacks to the base? Notice there are 6 different dog tags on the necklace. I don't know if dog tags would be the right term, but you know, those trinkets on his necklace, which have the scientific formulas, which are covered in plenty of other YouTube videos. I'm not trying to cover stuff that's already been covered by other YouTubers, but maybe there's some significance in there being 6 of them. 6 is divisible by 3. The handcuff, now that I look at it, looks like the number 3 when it's open. So maybe 3 symbology is important in this game for some reason. So this looks like a fitting room where you might be able to equip different outfits. Maybe with each outfit you get different skills or buffs associated with each. Notice Path by Apocalyptica from the album Cult. And Kojima, not long after releasing the trailer, tweeted out a picture of the album from Apocalyptica, and the cover of the album shows a guitar with many chords dangling out of it. So this looks like another situation like Low Roar, that maybe Kojima had some say in the direction of that album, and maybe the album has some hidden meaning in there, some stuff that we can pull to figure out, you know, what is this game about? And I believe it was Python Selkin or maybe some other YouTuber who pointed out the similarities, or should I say the references to different things in the Low Roar album Zero, which actually is very good. You know, I got put onto Low Roar by Kojima, and I have 2 of their albums, which are both excellent. I definitely recommend it. Very chill, but like also, you know, very emotional, and it's awesome. So I'm gonna have to buy that album, check it out. Maybe I can find something that would indicate what this game is actually about, because this trailer doesn't really explain all that much, but it definitely gives us a much clearer picture than we've been working with for I don't know how long, over 6 months, over a year. When was the first trailer? I don't even remember. More 3 symbolism on the shoe. On the left shoe, you'll see, I think you can see a little bit on the right shoe as well. But there's 3 circles, I guess for airflow or whatever, but it's an upside down triangle and used with 3 circles. Even the soles of the shoes, the what you call it, the grippy part of the shoe kind of has like almost a triangular kind of, I don't know, kind of groove into it. So that's interesting. So this looks like a bike repair station. This one looks brand new compared to the heavily used and possibly patched up one that he was riding earlier in the trailer. It is the same kind of bike with 2 wheels on the front, glowing rim, maybe a different color. So maybe you can change the color. Maybe you can upgrade it with different things, I would assume. And the machine around it seems to have a role in fixing it. These atmospheric effects are gorgeous. Also notice he has a new style of backpack that we haven't seen in any of the trailers. So apparently there'll be many different configurations that we'll see. A new history begins. Notice he's got a ball cap, and also his hair is not pulled back this time, it's just hanging loose. And he's got shades on. Kind of looks like he would normally look how Norman Reedus would normally appear, right? That's kind of like his style. So that's a nice right there. And look in the background where it says K5. I think it says K5 Middle School right there. And he's also got a apparently on his right side. I could be wrong, but that box might be attached to his handcuff. I'm not sure, but it's a black box, so it's a little bit different than the yellow color or orange colored boxes that we've been seeing so far. So we've got the keychain floating. I'm not quite sure how, or maybe it's falling up, like in the quote-unquote underwater sections of the previous trailers, where we saw bodies floating upwards or falling upwards and getting eaten by like the hand monster or whatever. So it looks like he's at the home base. And you'll see in the top left, there's a projection of the United States, and there's a glowing spot where I guess DC is supposed to be. I'm not sure. DC is much closer to the shore, so I'm not sure if the glowing dot has any significance, but you'll see around that dot there is a shade of blue across the northeastern part of the United States and into Canada. So we see on the top right corner is another one of those upside down rainbows. And I don't know if any other YouTube personalities have addressed this, but this is an actual natural occurrence in cold climates. They're called circumzenithal arcs. Circumzenithal arcs. And they're not caused by rain, but by ice crystals. So that's why they're normally found in cold climates. And we know that when the shadow creatures or the invisible creatures, they give a name for it that we'll see in the trailer, but those invisible creatures, you know that when they're around, Sam starts to breathe. You start to see his breath as if it was cold, and others as well. So maybe that will indicate the amount of enemies that are around in the environment. It could be just around the whole game, but maybe as you progress, and take down the shadow creatures, maybe you'll see less of them. I don't know, but it's an interesting phenomenon, and I've never heard about it actually. To reconnect a fractured society. So we know that some kind of event happened in DC that ended the United States government, so they're no longer united. So the idea is to reconnect a fractured society, and how do we do that? Check out this slick weapon wheel. You'll notice the sound effects are basically straight from Metal Gear. That shing or whatever, when you equip an item, it sounds exactly like you would hear it in Metal Gear Solid. The backpack looks a little bit different as well. So obviously there's going to be a lot of customization, or just, more of an aesthetic difference depending on what you pick up. And who knows what are the different items that you can pick up. Maybe it's just like, here's a box that's worth 5,000 points, and here's a box that's worth 2,000 points, and they'll have different sizes. That's kind of what I'm assuming. And then, it's kind of like resources, I suppose, and maybe that's how you will upgrade your base and upgrade your suits and upgrade your weapons and things like that. I mean, that makes sense to me. I would be surprised if that's not the case. So we look at the ladder description. A portable ladder that folds out to a length of 10 meters. It can be used to climb slopes and cross rivers. Hold L2 to put the ladder on standby, and R2 to place in position. So Kojima always is sure to include lots of detail for everything, including the items, which is very interesting. It's pretty cool. Even though it's just a ladder, it's pretty cool how he just like whips it out and extends it. We see a couple other items in there. You got your gun, which is orange, which I'm not sure what that indicates. Maybe it's low on bullets, or maybe that's just the normal color for a gun. We see an item to the right of it, which is blue. Now that, I'm assuming, might be some kind of melee weapon. Maybe it's some kind of taser, baton, or something like that. Or it could be another utility, but it is on the bottom next to the gun, so, and we know that there's melee in the game. We'll see later in the trailer there's hand-on-hand combat. And we also see another item above there on top, which will appear later on in the trailer, and the X would be to unequip, I suppose, just like in most games. So you'll notice this game has a Dead Space-like UI for the most part. There are some prompts that, actually looks like the prompts show up behind him, but then when you look at the ammo, it kind of is behind him, but it's closer to his body. So I guess it's projecting off of the wrist computer. I'm not entirely sure. Check out this vista. Look at that huge mountain. The sense of scale in this game is incredible. And look at all the detail in the rocks and everything, especially when you watch this in 4K off of YouTube. It looks incredible. You'll notice off in the distance there's some kind of research facility, it appears like. There's a couple domes, which maybe are radar. And there's a giant other thing, which maybe is a radar, or maybe some kind of anti-air device. It actually reminds me of the little robot device that they carry with them with the 3 prongs, except this one has 4 prongs. So maybe this detects the shadow creatures? I'm not sure. think this is so cool, just how this works. And now we have the character known as Fragile held at gunpoint. Notice the left wrist bracelet holds a little chunk of gold, which appears a lot in these trailers. Apparently gold is an important theme in this game from what we've seen so far. Edge Knot City, okay. The United Cities of America. They want the United Cities of America to leave them be. Homo demens. This in Latin means insane or madmen, and it was actually first introduced by a poet named Edgar Morin, or philosopher Edgar Morin, in 1975. And it basically means a man as the only being with irrational delusions, or madman, or insane, as Google Translate would detect it. What's funny is if you just do auto detect, Google Translate detects it as Norwegian, and it detects it as gay dementia. And dementia is a disease where you relive the past. And also, in this game, past. The past is a huge theme. But when you switch it to Latin on Google Translate, it just says insane. And demons could be an alliteration or whatever it is when you have two things that sound the same, like demons, D-E-M-O-N-S, except this is D-E-M-E-N-S. And there's some indication that parts of the game occur in another dimension, which might be hell. There is some indication of that. So the militarist separatist group that Higgs is a part of, Troy Baker's character, is going around and just killing people by summoning the Timefall and creating craters, which are made by those giant, head monsters or headless monster things with the umbilical cords for hands, that crazy thing. So apparently they can somehow summon them. Engineering void outs. So when that monster appears and creates a huge crater, that's called a void out. So somehow they have the technology to engineer the void outs. The guy speaking right now is Tommy Earl Jenkins, the voice of Die-Hardman. Those who resist the future. Hear those weird animal or baby sounds? Reminds me of the walkers from MGS4. Well, I forgot what the real name was, but the bipedal technology, animal cyborg hybrid things from Metal Gear Solid 4. It's so hard to explain or describe some of this shit, Kojima. Come on, man. That's part of his genius. So, hey, maybe nanomachines are involved here as well. You see to the right, there's some kind of something going on there. Maybe a city, maybe a enemy base encampment. Some kind of scanning mechanism going on here. But it doesn't appear to be Sam's. It appears to be it appears to be somebody else. You see that on the top? That little glowing blur or whatever? Apparently there might be... Oh, there's another one on on the top right as well. So those little blurs, maybe they are enemies that are trying to track Sam. And as he walks, there's an outline of his box there. So maybe there's trackers in some of the stuff that he's picking up, and that's one way for them to find him. So it's possible that once he picks up enough items that, or if you pick up a lot of items, that might make things tougher for you. Maybe more enemies come at you, or maybe they come at you just more frequently. To the right, we see what look very, very clearly to be cell phone towers. And he apparently is hiding in a wheat field. You see the enemies there carrying big gold taser sticks, a la Metal Gear Solid Survive, and glowing lights. Remind me of the skulls, like the glowing red light from their mechanism. Kind of reminds me of the skulls from MGS5. And there's some other parts of this trailer which remind me of the skulls from MGS5. And so they carry these big old taser sticks, and they can throw them as well. So this I can imagine is very suspenseful, very nerve-wracking to be chased by these guys. So I'm thinking that, this might be a survival horror game in many respects, but also it has that sci-fi thriller aspect that Kojima loves to go with, and also the military style thriller that he likes. And these guys, it says ceramic on their backpack, so maybe they are a different delivery company. I mean, I'm almost certain they're a different delivery company. You'll also notice that the symbol on their back is 2 lightning bolts inside of a hexagon, and the 2 lightning bolts that look exactly like that is basically a famous symbol for the Nazi SS. So the Nazi SS were the most ruthless of the Nazis. And, we have the symbology of the hexagon, 6 sides. It is divisible by 3. And you have not the Nazi SS symbology inside of that symbol. Each hit knocks off a piece of your cargo, and Sam even does a backdash to kind of outwit these guys, so perhaps we'll get some enhanced maneuvers to avoid combat. And he easily picks that right back up. We've got some melee combat. Alright. You'll notice that rock in the background, just above these 2 guys, is kind of glowing blue, like a hologram glitch. You notice you're knocking off the other guy's boxes as well if you smack them up nice enough. And you see when he gets on this bike and does this wheelie, the front wheels merge together while doing it. They got this white squiggly symbol on the bag. I'm not sure what that means. It looks like something between a DNA strand, a snake, and Arabic. BTs. I have no idea what that could mean. Bridge terrorists? I don't know. It's basically the shadow creatures, right? Peep the Luden's keychain. Plugging into the other side. And judging by the rest of this trailer, my thought is the other side, the underwater portion of the game, when you before you respawn, when you get killed, you get sent there. When you get dragged in with the tar people, and you end up in this underwater world where everything's upside down and people are floating up or falling up, that might be hell. That might be this game's version of hell. And Satan is known as the inversion of everything that is good. So it makes sense that if this is hell, everything is inverted. Along with other nasty things like that big old creature with the hands and everything. There's hands everywhere in this damn game. So the babies enable them to connect with hell to another dimension? Are they baby chiral things? Are they baby BTs? How does this work? Well, it would indicate that Mads Mikkelsen's character, Cliff, was maybe the scientist who first developed these guys, apparently. Those who stay connected to the past. So the past is a big part of this. We saw scenes of fighting in World War II, or basically troops dressed in World War II style gear and World War II style tank in previous trailers, but we see other stuff here in this trailer as well. So is this Sam's sensing ability? Because he says he can sense them, right? So he has some kind of power that's linked to having dooms, I suppose. Or is this some integration of the technology that he has that helps them kind of visualize this or sense this? I'm not too sure. And it would look like, it seems like getting near their cords also can trigger an attack as well, because he gets pretty close. The blue footprints, is that something that he senses, or is that the technology? And then you'll see the orange footprints of the BTs as well. So is it the technology that's detecting the BT footprints? Is the technology develop sensing all of this, visualizing all of this for us, or is this his sensing abilities? So this looks like a little cutscene, or is this real time where he's being dragged through the oils? So we've got this cloaked phantom-like figure. Could this be death? Or, you know, I don't know. At first glance when I saw this trailer, without stopping, I thought it was one of those Japanese ghost girls that you see in all the Japanese horror movies. It actually looks almost like a phantom version of Higgs, or maybe it is Higgs, since we know he can descend from the sky somehow, flying or falling up from the other side. Those bound to Hades. So this pretty much lays it all out, right? This pretty much says it outright that, you know, this connection is to hell, basically. Or is it? Who knows? Now, this looks like we're in BB's perspective. It's stationary view, and actually throughout the trailer, all the jump cuts are blinks, are baby blinks. So we're kind of looking at the trailer through the perspective of the BB. So maybe this is a message, like Kojima is giving us a message that we're the BB, that we're essential for the future. Is basically pulling another Metal Gear Solid 5, like, hey, you're this character in this story. And you've got these soldiers coming in with a wormhole-style teleportation technology similar to the wormhole Fulton system from Metal Gear Solid 5, and Metal Gear Survive also had a lot of weird stuff that you can check out in other YouTubers' videos. They've covered Metal Gear Survive. I haven't played it, and I don't really intend on playing it because it seems so tedious and boring, but I don't know. It looks like they're riding through battle here. And it seems like a pretty smooth progression, not like somebody's like walking or anything like that. So this is a little different. This looks like a World War I tank. I mean, a lot of us have played Battlefield 1, me included, and this was one of the tanks there. It actually looks like a World War I Mark IV from my 1 minute of Google searching. So is this set in World War I? Will we have sections of the game where we're kind of like transported into different periods of time in different wars? We see the skull minions that Mads has wear different types of uniforms as well. Those who cannot break the connection. Right here, they're wearing World War I helmets. So, I don't know if you caught that, but Mads also has the cross-section on his stomach, which was glowing on him, and it looks like Mads just respawned. He just came from the other side. So, is this like the real world? Is this a dream? What context is this trip through time happening, or are just the soldiers and tanks coming into the real world, invading the real world, and there's just these contained little bubbles of the past. It reminds me of a movie that I saw not long ago, which had a similar concept, where you had this little cult society or whatever living off in the wilderness, and basically they were trapped there by this demon that would keep them going on a loop. Some of them would live like 3 days in a loop and die a horrible death basically, and respawn again. So they could live forever, but they basically live the same. They couldn't leave the place. They had to endure like a painful death every time because the demon would like slaughter them. But there was different bubbles. They depicted different bubbles, like domes, like in this movie. And if you stepped into that dome, and you stayed there long enough, you could get stuck into a particular set time loop. So if you're in the bubble that's 5 minutes, you could be reliving a 5-minute life every time and get killed horribly every time. So this is some very Metal Gear Solid style sneaking right along the enemy and stuff. Kind of reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 4 when the two PMCs are fighting, and he's just kind of sneaking around the battle. So that's kind of reminiscent of that. These soldiers appearing don't seem to see him at first. I guess they can't spot him until they materialize, but here they're attacking. We see some gun combat finally, and notice he shoots off the enemy's head, but keeps shooting to burn away the body. So maybe a headshot doesn't guarantee that they're dead. Who knows? Those who struggle to stay connected. So this is a crazy scene. Maybe this is the craziest one. So, Cliff, Mads, is strung up in this web of barbed wire, and he's just kind of, I don't know, he's just like caught in the web. So the bridge's symbology definitely is referring to some kind of spider web. It could be referring to the fractured nature of the country, but also it is referring to a spider's web, because this is very much like a spider's web. You look behind Mads, you could clearly see a spider's web. And then you see the babies with the missing right leg and the missing left arm. It's like Kaz, but opposite. Remember in Metal Gear Solid 5, Kaz was missing his right arm and his left leg when Snake found him at the was it the Soviet base or whatever base that Snake found him. He was messed up. And here's a quote from Metal Gear Solid 5 that Kaz says when I don't know, some point in the game. He says, "Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night I can feel my leg and my arm, even my fingers, the body I've lost, the comrades I've lost, won't stop hurting. It's like they're all still there. You feel it too, don't you? I'm gonna make them give back our past." So again, that was a significant quote from that game, also having to do with the past. We're in a scene here that is set in the past or something like that, and you've got this baby that kind of reminds you of the Phantom Limb situation of Kaz, losing his arm, losing his leg. And it's not really clear how Kaz lost his arm or his leg. You might say it might have been the Skulls who kidnapped them or the Soviets who they gave him to. It's not really explained. And he explains that, Kaz explains in Metal Gear Solid 5 that he didn't get prosthetics because it helped him remember the pain, or in other words, the past. So here we see the left eye closed like Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid 4, or like Kaz in Metal Gear Solid 5 when Snake first rescues him. Kaz's left eye is kind of shut and it looks kind of battered, and Snake asks, they do something to your eyes? No, it's just bright is all. So what? It's so obvious that something happened to his eyes. Like, they definitely fucked with his. They messed with his eyes somehow. So Kaz says no, it's just bright is all. So what is that? Is that a reference to Lucifer, which is commonly known as the son of the morning? The light bearer basically is what Lucifer is known as. So is this some kind of link to Satan, to evil, to hell? So we see another reference like that, right? And we see the nails in the head like a pincushion, which is disturbing. It reminds me of Hellraiser, which I'm sure Kojima has watched, as he's watched just about everything. So this is what it must look like in-game when you get caught by a chiral giant. This looks like in-game real-time graphics. And you notice the red danger warning. He doesn't have a baby on him, it would appear, and possibly is about to die in the blast. Probably a crater is going to be made. And who knows if those craters, I guess they would have to remain in the world. I don't know how many times you could how many areas could get cratered. Maybe that's only during set pieces, during scripted moments, and not something that can just happen everywhere, or else you'd have just nothing but craters everywhere, I guess. So here we have another member of Bridges. He's got the pin and everything. Looks like that's part of your support team. He's chilling on a chair. You see on the screen behind him, he's got a scan of a brain there, and he's using the wrist computer to access some stuff. It's very reminiscent of the iDroid from Metal Gear Solid 5. Also notice the background. It appears that they are high up in a mountain somewhere. Maybe they have a hidden base in a mountain, or it could be a projected image from a feed somewhere else. That's also possible. So the guy in the middle is die-hardman, played by Tommy Earl Jenkins, and he's wearing a posh suit like a butler. Very interesting outfit to be wearing, and they're all wearing their bridge pins, so they're all part of the same team, and they've got one of those bodies wrapped up like a mummy that they're about to do something with. This character is called Mama, and she appears to be interacting with a BT. Maybe this is actually her. It kind of looks like a mirror reflection of her, just like kind of particleized. Her robot attachment thingy, I don't even know what they call it yet, isn't giving any indication that this is some kind of threat. So maybe Mama has some kind of supernatural abilities of some sort. And she's waving her arms. I don't know if she's trying to shoo it away or get its attention. So this is the character known as Amelie, who is played by the same actress who is doing Bridget, the former president of the United States. And it appears that she has a chiral allergy. So they're disposing of this body, I guess, so that it doesn't become one of those tar people. Were they in a cave, or is this, I don't know, in a crater, just a hole in the ground? I don't know what's going on here, but we've got a BT up above. Looks like it's coming on down. Looks like Mama's in trouble. She's stuck under some rubble bars. So apparently the tags on the necklace, which have the equations, interact with the control panel. And I don't know what this might do. Maybe this has something to do with upgrades or some kind of base function. Maybe you use this to upgrade your base or to access certain information, something like that. The Bridge Baby Recovery System. So I guess if you lose a baby, you can go back to your base and generate another one. And so we just saw Mama kind of, putting the BT or the Spectre in her hands. And it looks like in this scene we have Amelie. She has a big ship behind her. And she has probably that infamous photo in her hand, in her right hand. Our boy Hartman is being dragged away from what looks like a mob of zombies or brainwashed people. It looks like they're walking towards the water, mostly dressed in normal clothing. Are these past dead people? Are these people from the past? Well, you'll notice that one or two of the people are dressed like the delivery guys, and a couple of them toward the right look like some kind of military soldiers. I also just noticed that the fragile symbol also is inside of a hexagon and has the two lightning bolts that are basically Nazi SS references. And you also notice that the A in fragile is basically a pyramid as well. You see, Hartman has the Bridges logo in a diamond right there. Die-hardman. Such a ridiculous name. He has an interesting mask. I'm not sure if this is a prosthetic, if this helps him filter his breath, or what is this mask about? It's kind of just sits on his face as if it was just like implanted. It's not really attached to anything. You'll see at the top it says Ludens. That's a reference to the Kojima Productions mascot, which might have something to do with this game, as we'll see later on in the trailer. So I'm curious what this mask, what it means. Maybe he's trying to hide a scarred face. That's also possible. Also, his mask opens with his mouth. You got Higgs, played by Troy Baker, using the same exact voice as he did with Ocelot, by the way. And Troy Baker is a very talented voiceover artist. His voice, he can do many different voices, actually. So it's interesting that he's using the exact same voice that he used with Ocelot as this character. So another shady kind of character that he's playing. And notice he's tearing the tar. He's got the tar tears. So is he like Mad's character? Does that make Mad a terrorist too? Are they both like part of the same group? Notice also the floating whale in the background, by the way. It's quite a coincidence that we had flying whales in Metal Gear Solid 5, and now we have them here as well. Well, this is new. We have Amelie crying blood now. If she isn't Bridget, then what is she? A clone? Maybe as a clone, she is falling apart like Snake did in Metal Gear Solid 4. And the blood tears are a symptom, maybe a symptom of severe dooms. We see a brief shot of the cat monster from previous trailers. We see Higgs kidnapping Amelie. He had her slung over his shoulder. He has a BB, but it's turned on. It's not this frame. It's just before this, but I'm not going back and stopping on it. You can stop on it yourself, but I'm already telling you what it looks like. He's shooting at Sam. The BT detector that Sam has also deflects bullets, apparently. Maybe that's some kind of upgrade that you can earn. Again, throughout this video, all the cuts are BB blinks. They're the baby blinking, so we're seeing through the perspective of the baby, and it gets more pronounced the further we go into this trailer. We start getting double blinks. And so the baby doll, the creepy baby doll, got deep-throated too? What is that? What is that even about? Is that a dream? Is that a hallucination? What is that about? So this is the only time we see Sam outside without any cargo. Is he succumbing to dooms? Finish what Amelie started. So is she dead? Is it a hallucination or ghost that he meets? Or maybe when she cries blood, she's almost dead and is about to die. So he's saying that rebuilding America is not going to get rid of the BTs. Notice the oddly blue hue. Is that what it looks like to die from dooms? Or is this a blue light that is casting on him? It looks like his entire body is kind of tinted blue, like even his clothes, but it doesn't look so much like the ground's tinted blue. So this is kind of odd. And is he attempting to kill himself for the same reason the other guy did in one of the previous trailers when there was a void out and he got sucked up by the giant monster thing or whatever? So the truth of the Death Stranding. So obviously, you know, there's a lot more that we don't understand yet. So does this refer to the ephemeral nature of the BTs that, you know, they don't really seem like fully physical creatures? So he's got a good connection to Mads, it would appear this trailer is implying. So is Mads some kind of BT? Is he a demon from hell? Apparently he lived a normal life at some point, and somehow he's something else now. And so we're going to see the Skull Soldiers come out, and they seem to have glowing eyes like skulls from Metal Gear Solid 5. And we know Kojima loves the imagery of smoking a cigarette. You know, maybe he watched too many noir detective flicks or something. So about the skulls. So the skulls, also known as the Parasite Unit, were created with a parasite discovered by Code Talker, who discovered the parasite from the remains of the End from Metal Gear Solid 3. So that's what happens in Metal Gear Solid 5. So the Skulls kidnapped Kaz and gave him to the Soviets. So did the Skulls maim Kaz, or did the Soviets? The Skulls carried nuclear-enriched archaea, which is a single-celled organism which are apparently particularly numerous in oceans. And there's a lot of ocean imagery in this game, apparently. And archaea, they are a major part of Earth's carbon and nitrogen cycles. So they are important little organisms that exist and help to form life on this planet about 3.5 billion years ago, according to the internet. Yikes, these guys are impervious to fire? I have a feeling Mads and Company will be a recurring boss or mini-boss battle, such as the Skulls from Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm sure they'll be probably one of the toughest characters to fight off against, some of the toughest enemies. So will they be in charge of hunting down Bridges members? And here it looks like they're all wearing modern gear this time. So maybe this is a sequence in a later war flashback or whatever it is, however it works in this game. Covering the war in cable. So apparently humanity did something in order to try to end war and suffering. And it looks like they're trying to do that again. Release date? So whatever they did, they're going to try to do it again. So that's the theme of history repeating itself. So this leads me to believe the cables are some form of communication, like fiber optic cables or something like that, and that's how they can communicate between cities. And remember that Higgs said he wanted Edge Knot City to be left alone, and that's why he's running around killing a bunch of people, because he doesn't want to reconnect. He doesn't want to try to bring back the past. So the protagonists are trying to bring back the past, and the antagonists are trying to build a new future. Maybe the villains are the good guys. Maybe this is one of those twists that somehow they're not as bad as we think they are. Maybe this is a tease that it's not really like demons or anything, but some other kind of explanation. Nanomachines! Something like that. So here, Mads is looking super normal. He's wearing glasses. Doesn't seem to need glasses as a demon tar guy, but okay. And so I'm assuming he was the scientist that came up with the whole BB idea. Maybe he was one of the guys responsible with connecting the world with cable or running cable all throughout the world. And maybe cable was necessary because there was some kind of EMP that knocked out all like the current technology or something like that, and that or something to do with wireless technology being vulnerable. That's possible, I suppose. So I'll show you the real thing soon. Oh boy. The real what, Kojima? What is this about? You got a little headache there. Is he starting to succumb to dooms? So I don't know if you noticed, but one of the bubbles that the baby breathed out was in the shape of a heart. Mads says the whole world will be yours to explore, even the moon. So this is a reference to the teaser, the Koji Productions teaser with the Ludens mascot. In the, she's wearing a spacesuit. She's on the moon. She or he, we don't even really know. So are the bridge babies gonna turn out to be Ludens? Are they gonna be some kind of new form of humanity that explores the rest of the universe? So again, we see that the baby has some affection for Mads, that maybe he sees him as a father, mother. And we get a new animated Ludens logo with the added subtle timefall, rain or wave effect in the sound we can hear. Pre-order now. So yeah, that was it. I'm very hyped for this game, obviously. I mean, I've been working all day to put this video together. I would really appreciate it if you give me a like, a subscribe, leave a comment. I definitely wanted to make a video about the 372C symbology and go into the whole City of Pigs argument. I might even read some more of the Republic, even though it's such dense reading. But I do want to kind of try to figure out what that means. But you can look it up yourself for now and try to, maybe you can leave a comment and let me know what you think about what the connection is with 372C, because I think it might be important. So thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you around in the comments section. Take it easy, guys.